Yes, sir.
All right. Is this thing on? Oh, yeah, I guess it is. All right. My name is Blake.
Watch out, everybody. The master debater is here. Get him out. This is freedom of speech. If you don't like it, up.
Why don't come up? Come up to the mic. Come up to the mic. Come up to the mic. No, come on. Come up to the mic. Since you're so smart, show the world how smart you are. We'll give you our mic, not your bullhorn, so come on up. So now we know that you're like a blatant narcissist that needs attention at all times to cut in line. Tell us what's so pressing that you needed to interrupt us before he could even talk.
So let's talk about the 200 people deported without due process to El Salvador. I don't know if you saw this morning, but a United States citizen was actually deported.
It was not a U.S. citizen. That's not correct.
Liar.
It's not a U.S. citizen. It was actually.
Come on.
No, it was someone that was living here. Yeah, it was not a U.S. citizen.
Hey, this guy just lies. It's not.
No.
Hey, no. You wanna have a debate, but you don't.
It was
debate.
not a U.S. citizen. First of all.
You want to have a debate, but you actually don't debate. There's nothing more ill-faith than this.
So
you're not.
we already have a mic.
Name 2 times. Name 2 times where you've changed
Show
your
me
mind.
you're losing without telling me you're losing.
What? So you're just gonna lie?
Well, first of all, it's not a U.S. citizen. He was living here for a while. He was part of MS-13. Answer yes or no.
Okay.
Should members of a terrorist organization be able to stay in the United States after they've murdered, raped, and gone after American citizens?
Obviously, no.
So we have deported those people back to their country.
The Fifth Amendment
That's what they've done.
calls for due
The Fifth
process.
Amendment does not apply to foreign
That's
citizens
bullshit.
that are here
it says
illegally.
all persons.
No. It's only
No.
to U.S. citizens.
That's a lie. He's
Okay.
a liar.
So, okay.
He can't debate. He just
Okay,
lies.
you've now sworn like 3 times. Let's just
What, you
calm
don't
down
like
a little
freedom
bit.
of speech?
Well, I mean, you could say whatever you want if you want to make a fool of yourself, but we do have like 10-year-olds here and 11-year-olds, so can we
don't
have some
care.
decency?
Whatever.
Okay, you don't care. You're a typical leftist because you only care about yourself,
Who said I was
not
a
about
leftist?
the other people.
Who said I was a leftist?
Well, it's very clear by how you're acting. Let me ask you a question. Should we be able to deport terrorists that are here in the United States?
With due process.
And we gave them due process.
What was the due process?
They were part of MS-13.
Then how
It
did
was
it
very clear.
No,
and
that
now
is
they're
not
in an
true.
El Salvadorian jail.
That literally
but
isn't true.
Most
also,
importantly,
why wouldn't they just get deported? Why would they get sent to a jail?
Well, deported to a jail. By the way, many of these people
not even their country. They're not from El Salvador.
Many of these people were already in prisons for crimes that they committed against the United States of America. So do we have a right to decide who is in the interior of the United States?
Yeah.
Okay, so then what's your big disagreement?
It's called due process.
Again, the due process,
Hold on.
if every single one of them got their own trial and their own date.
They did not get a trial.
If they
That's
got
the
that,
problem.
if they got that, it would take us 10 years to deport like 200 people. We have a constitutional right to be under the Alien Invaders Act of 1798 to be able to
We're
repel.
not at war.
Well, hold on. We are at war. We've been invaded by 10 million people over the last 4 years.
Congress has to declare an
Actually,
act of
that's
war.
not correct. Congress never declared war against Iraq. We never declared war against Afghanistan. We actually never had an official declaration of war against Vietnam.
Well, everybody
the President
knows
of the United
America
States
commits war crimes
Hold on.
every day.
Okay, that's a separate issue.
And supports
but let's
Israel
stay
committing
let's stay
genocide.
focused. Who is the commander-in-chief?
Donald Trump.
Yes. So if the praise God. So if the commander-in-chief labels an invasion, it is an invasion. So when Venezuela opens up their prisons and sends in and murders to the interior of the United States, we have the
Give
right.
proof.
We have the give you proof. The Venezuelan government has been found with a bipartisan congressional study that they have been sending the worst of their citizens to our country to increase crime, to kill people like Lake and Riley, to come into our communities. We have the opportunity and the ability, based on the laws of the land, to say that this is an invasion from a foreign country and we are repelling it. And by the way, how is it not an invasion when 10 million people come into your country uninvited?
That is an unfact number.
Okay,
That is
then let me
straight
ask,
up
what
pulled
is
out
an
of your
invasion?
ass.
What is an invasion?
I would call an invasion. I would call an invasion similar to Israel taking Gaza.
Hold on.
That's an invasion.
Hold on. No. Don't give me like a definition, like a textbook. Define the term.
It's a military conflict.
Okay, so what you mean when they come with weapons and they're all military-age men and they come into the interior of the United States and that they're being prompted by a government or a cartel? How is that not a invasion?
He's not a king.
No. Answer the question. I never said he was a king. He's a duly elected president. So is it not an invasion?
No. It's called illegal immigration. And you do it, and you solve it via due process.
Okay,
it's not an invasion.
At what point would it become an invasion?
Probably whenever they tear down the border and actually steamroll in with military vehicles.
Yeah, we would have no idea what that would look like, right?
No, we do know what it would look like. It's what's happening in Israel and Gaza right now.
Okay, that's a whole separate issue that I'm happy to talk to you about.
It's a perfect example of an invasion.
No, hold on.
How is it not?
I actually agree that Israel has invaded Gaza. I agree. Okay, because they're using sophisticated military equipment like the Venezuelan cartel and the drug and the Sinaloan drug cartels.
They're
Secondly,
being funded by the
planned by
United
governments.
States.
Second, it's planned by governments. Third, and most importantly, do you think 10 million people that have come into this country since Joe Biden was president, was that good for America?
To be clear, I don't think you're here to actually have a debate because clearly you never change your mind. No. So
well,
I'm actually not here to debate you.
I've asked you 5 or 6 questions
you're
and you
haven't.
haven't.
Faith person.
Yeah, you interrupted me.
Hey, do you condemn Elon Musk doing Nazi salutes?
Oh, so
do you? It's simple.
It's very simple. It was not a Nazi salute.
Then do it.
See,
do it.
I have done it multiple times.
No,
let me interrupt you. That is a bad faith question and argument. You just did a Nazi salute. You're a Nazi. I can't believe it. Nazi. Get this Nazi off our campus.
Slams it down to their chest like Elon Musk did.
How about this? You and I both know
right-wing.
You and I both know that
in Germany.
Okay, you and I both know that Elon Musk is not a Nazi. It's such a ridiculous, preposterous thing to say. Instead, you
then
are
why
mad.
Are we using American police to protect his dealerships?
Well, hold on a second. If any place of private property is torched, your home or a college campus,
why does the richest
shouldn't it be
person
protected?
in the world need our money to protect his property?
Hold on a second. If you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. When's the last time you checked on your home title? That's the legal proof that you own your house. If you're like me, the answer is never. The problem is, in today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles, and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and boom, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity, or even sell your property. You won't even know it's happened until you get a collection or a foreclosure notice. That's why you need to stop what you're doing and find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code Kirk at HometitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HometitleLock.com now. Use promo code Kirk. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code Kirk. If dealerships or if private property is threatened by a mob, that is the role of the police to protect private property, whether it be a Wendy's being burned by Black Lives Matter or a Tesla dealership being burnt by angry people like you. The police should protect private property from swarms and mobs and hordes of people that would never build something themselves, want to destroy the property of others. The first and final cause of government is to protect private property rights. That is a good role of the United States Police Force or the FBI or the ATF.
Of the police protecting the dealerships before they even, before a mob is even there.
Hold on, preemptive.
Do you think that's a good use of taxpayer dollars?
Hundreds of Tesla
billionaires' property.
Hold on a second. It's not just billionaires' property. He employs well over 100,000 people. Tesla stock is held by teachers across the country,
and it's dropping not because of Americans, but because of Europe.
Do you want it to? Do you want it to drop?
Absolutely.
See that is a sick and twisted worldview.
What you want? You want Target's stock to drop whenever they have an LGBT flag in their stock?
First of all, Target doesn't really. Let me explain. Target doesn't really make anything. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. So Target does not really make anything in this country. That's a separate issue. Tesla.
You're saying the same thing about the dealerships.
Allow me
they
to.
They don't make anything. They just hold the cars.
Allow me to finish. You understand? All Tesla dealerships are owned by Tesla, and they're manufactured in America and designed by Americans, they're made in America.
They're not designed. They're not all made in America.
Hold on a second. Most Teslas are made in America. So what you are cheering for is the disenfranchisement and unemployment of Americans. And that goes back to my point, is that from you interrupting to coming up to the mic, you are an agitator or a leftist that would never be able to build something yourself.
I work in construction and have since the age of 14.
Well, you're not working today, and it is a weekday.
Actually, I took off work, and it's lunch hour.
But
okay,
but let me further complete my point.
I've already worked 20 hours this week.
Allow me to
this
further.
Isn't a job.
Wow, 20.
You call this
20
a job?
hours? Wow.
Yeah, and it's Tuesday. I started yesterday.
Allow me to further complete my point, which is that it is easy to interrupt and to scold and to insult. You know what's hard? To go actually build a company like Tesla or SpaceX. How about you say thank you for Elon Musk rescuing those astronauts that were stranded by Joe Biden? Can you say thank you, Elon Musk, for rescuing the astronauts? Can you say that?
I think Elon Musk for taking a chainsaw to the National Park Service, multiple services.
So,
aren't you an Eagle Scout?
What would you have to say?
Did you even graduate college?
No.
In fact,
I didn't go to college. I've been able to be pretty successful without a 4-year degree.
College.
Yeah, I did not go to college.
You're going to come to college and act like you know fucking better
are
than
we gonna
everybody?
are we going to debate resumes or ideas?
Ideas.
Because if we want,
it's a good idea to just defund every major.
Do you want to
program?
debate resumes or ideas? Because if you want to argue from authority, as if you're somehow smarter than I am because you have a meaningless 4-year college degree, or do we want to say who's actually right or wrong? You're engaging in a logical fallacy when you do that.
Do you think it's meaningless to have a degree in construction engineering?
Honestly,
and be a
most college degrees are largely
country?
meaningless. Yes, most college degrees are meaningless, and most of you guys are being totally scammed by being here.
No.
Now, let me further complete the point.
So getting educated is a scam.
Most times, first of all, it's not always an education, and you are perfect evidence that you haven't really been educated. You are hyper hostile. You have no humility. You have very little wisdom about how the world works, and you come and you want so badly to be recognized and noticed, you came with your own bullhorn to cut in line someone who patiently waited to ask the first question. What have you actually learned at this institution except that you're the center of the world and everyone must listen to you? In fact, there is a God and you are not him. And instead of
you go to countries or you go to campuses and agitate people for like this exact scenario.
I sit here and ask questions. You're the agitator, not me.
You say prove me wrong.
Yeah, correct. That's free speech.
But how are you having to? This is free speech, and yet you're upset about it.
Well, no, the way that you've conducted yourself, obviously you have a right to do it.
Do you think it's free speech whenever college students protest against Israel committing Gaza
sometimes
and getting black bagged?
Well, it depends.
In St. Louisiana?
Well, it depends. If they storm a library and are violent against other students, then not so much.
What about all the peaceful ones?
It depends on a case by case. But the students want another question, and I do agree with them because you embody the worst of this generation, which is, and
are you looking in the mirror?
And I do look in the mirror. You know what I see? I see a sinner that wouldn't act the way you do, which is constantly interrupting. Someone that wants to always be, the center of conversation, hyper narcissistic.
This is what I think. I think
attitude,
you're
personality.
Name two times you've changed your mind because of a debate.
I have changed my mind plenty of times.
Give
In
two
fact,
examples.
I used to be anti-death penalty, and now I'm pro-death penalty. I used to be more libertarian on drugs,
but are you
and now I'm less
are you
libertarian on drugs.
Do you think
I am very much against abortion.
You're against
fact.
abortion, even in a case.
Yes, I am. That's correct.
Wow, ladies, listen up. If you get you're going to have to hold their baby.
Okay, but let's ask you. Can I ask you a question? If I had an ultrasound of a baby conceived in or an ultrasound of a baby conceived in a loving relationship, which one is which?
It doesn't matter. That's
no, because human rights do not stop based on the method of conception. Human rights are applied to all.
Wow,
in fact, did you know?
So rapists have more rights than a woman.
Well, actually, do you know that there's someone?
The control of their body?
Do you know that there's someone in this audience?
Than the woman being
did you know there's someone in this audience that was conceived in? Can you tell me who it is?
It doesn't matter.
No, tell me who it is. Because
it doesn't matter. Why?
No,
what does that matter?
Because what matters is babies conceived in don't get less human rights just because they were conceived in a nasty, ugly, evil way. Human rights apply to all people.
You're talking about a person versus an unborn fetus.
Oh, so what's the difference between an unborn baby and a person? What is the moral difference?
Well, one is living and breathing.
Well, how is the baby not living in utero? It has a heartbeat.
It would not live without the woman.
Hold on, but my 6-month-old baby won't live without my mom. It won't go hunt and gather for itself. My 10-month-old baby won't hunt and gather for itself. So how's that any different than a 2-month in utero?
It doesn't matter.
Well, hold on. No, answer the question. Answer the question. You used a degree of dependency argument.
Have more rights.
No, I don't. I think that all human beings have rights because they're made in the image of God, and every human being has a right to life and not the right to be exterminated or extinguished.
Every human
just
being
because
has the right to life. You just said
Correct.
you're pro-death penalty. What the fuck are you talking about?
Okay, so, all right, so
it can't be both.
Okay, yes, it can. So
wow. So some lives are more important than others. That's what you're saying.
What did the person that was on death penalty do to get that punishment?
It depends on the crime.
They killed somebody.
No, that's not
if you kill somebody, then your life should be taken from you.
Not true.
Well,
it's dependent on the crime.
Hold on a second. Show me an instance of somebody who got the death penalty in America.
Don't burden me with the responsibility of educating you.
Show me an instance of somebody who got the death penalty in America the last 30 years that did not commit a capital offense.
I don't need to.
It does not exist. So therefore, a baby in utero did not go kill somebody. Somebody on death row killed somebody.
Yeah,
Are you smart enough or educated enough to see the difference between a baby in utero who did nothing wrong or someone that shut up a school?
Forget the baby.
You see the moral difference?
Is women having control over their own body.
I agree.
That's the issue.
I actually agree. In fact, I agree so much that unborn...
Yeah, especially when you get...
I agree so much that unborn girls in the womb should not be killed because their body should also be respected. If it's not your DNA, it's not your choice. If it's not your DNA, it's not your choice. Thank you for your time, and I hope you'll learn something throughout your long life.
Suck it.
Hey,
Thank you.
This guy is all uppercase
Thank you.
thumbs and lowercase teeth.
Thank you. So who do you guys think won that? The narcissist or me? Who do you think?
Who's the one that's surrounded by people?
You do not have you do not have a permit for that speakerphone.
Charlie doesn't like free speech. That's it. He cut off my mic because he doesn't like free speech.
You do not have a permit for that. If you want to go talk, go get a permit.
It's called free speech.
Well, actually, you do have a right to speak, but we as an organization have a permit to use amplification based on university code because you didn't go fill out the paperwork because you were...
No, I don't need...
You were just given the mic. It's fine. Sir, please come up to the mic.
I can yell if I need to. Do I need a permit to yell?
Please ask the next question.
Do I need a permit?
Please ask the next question.
all right.
Do I need a permit to yell? Huh? Do I need a permit to yell?
Where's Wyatt? We need Wyatt. Do we need Wyatt?
Out of respect for the other people.
Ask the next question.
All right. All right. Now that the peanut gallery's done.
Can I just say, that right there is a perfect picture of the petulant Democrat Party that is everything wrong with this country. Yes, sir. What's your question?
All right. So I'm basically here for one thing. I'm basically the opposite end of the spectrum that he is. I'm in favor for a full abolition of abortion federally. So, anyways, in my opinion, you know, our hats say "Make America Great Again," but I think it's impossible to be great unless we are first good. And how can we be good if we continue to let the blood of innocent children continue to spill in the United States? Charlie, you've said that before. You are a Christian, that you believe Jesus is the Messiah, and that you believe that we are valuable from conception because we are made in the image of God, right? So, what scares me especially is when we look at the Canaanites, when they were sacrificing their children to Moloch, and God destroyed their civilization for it. That was one of the biggest reasons that he did. And what scares me is that in the modern day, we've kind of become complacent with the Dobbs decision, with returning the, regulation of abortion back to the states. And there's no sort of repercussion across the United States currently in every state for having an abortion in another state or ordering pills online. There's nothing preventing it. And we don't really treat abortion as murder as we believe it should be. So I guess my question to you is, how would you feel about a complete, full federal abortion ban or federal abortion?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to get to that place. The body politic has to demand it and want it. And there are certain states that have not yet even been able to pass that on a state level.
Right.
And so President Trump has been a phenomenal pro-life president. He's not as pro-life as I am. And I think we need to understand that we are incrementalists when it comes in the fight for life and the fight for abortion. But the fight needs to happen less in our politics at this point. And I encourage everyone, do not hold President Trump to a standard that you will not hold your local pastor to. Every local church needs to be speaking out. Every local church needs to be speaking out about the crime of abortion, and every local church needs to be speaking out about why Christians need to be involved in this fight. And so it is a moral crime against our own country to have over 1 million abortions every single year. The Bible explicitly mentions that life begins at womb. Psalm 139, I knit you while you are in the womb. In fact, there is a Greek word by the name of brephos, which is the word baby, and it is used interchangeably when John the Baptist leapt in Elizabeth's womb from when Jesus was a baby in Luke 2 in the manger. In fact, the scriptures make no distinction about a moral worth of a fully born baby in the manger versus a baby in the womb or in utero. The scriptures make no distinction whatsoever. And so we as Christians must recognize and realize that it is our to be able to stand up against the massacre and the slaughter of the least of these in society, because if we are not able to fight for the little human beings, how would we ever fight for the big human beings? Thank you so much for your question, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. First and foremost, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell. It really helps us out, and we love it when you leave comments. Share these videos with your friends. Also, get involved with Turning Point USA at tpusa.com. We have our Student Action Summit coming up this summer. We have our Young Women's Leadership Summit. All of the biggest and most amazing events of the summer at tpusa.com. That is tpusa.com. Again, hit subscribe, hit the bell. Thanks for watching.